Hi, everyone. I'm glad we could all connect. It's a great pleasure on this beautiful Wednesday, hump day for everyone. And I want to just say a few words before we begin this insightful presentation and webinar. And the first thing is, as we're well aware, EnerBank USA is America's home improvement lender of choice. Home improvement lending is all we do. And we always want to focus on the best financial products and the best services for both you and your customers. And that's why we're proud to work with Leap, our key strategic partner, in helping provide and deliver that. Our goal is to help you grow your business and for your customers to get their home of their dreams. Leap's point of sale system works well with EnerBank's best practices and will give you the leg up to grow your business and to successfully manage your sales. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy days, and let's enjoy this presentation because I know they worked very hard on it.
Thank you, Maximilian. All right, and a quick reminder, we will be saving some time at the end of today's presentation to take questions from the audience. So please feel free to drop your comments, notes, or questions into the box at any time, and we will get around to some discussion. So without further ado, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Nick Miller. Nick comes from an in-home remodeling and sales background within the roofing, windows, and door industry. In his current role as regional sales manager here at Leap, Nick oversees his team through all stages of the sales process, from lead conversion to implementation, execution, and adoption of the Leap platform. Welcome, Nick, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Liz.
I'm going to pass the baton over to you. And take it away.
Perfect. And we should be good to go. So as Liz mentioned, my name is Nick. Running through this here, have a couple of slides that we want to just touch on. Really gives us just a very broad overview as to what Leap is, how we affect and touch different businesses and different levels of the business, and then ultimately we are going to go into a pretty high level demo of the platform. So right off the bat, Leap does help the whole company, right? From owners, operators, the sales aspect of it. You can really utilize the Leap platform for everything in between. We are a subscription-based software and just really allowing any size company, owner, operator, all the way up to several hundred sales reps in the field and multiple markets, digitize their business. We integrate with the top home improvement softwares and bring everything together in one place. I mean, today's a perfect example of that with being partnered with EnerBank and being able to run their financing right through our platform seamlessly. Which really brings us to the next point, which is getting rid of redundancies and errors. You know, we're all in here talking about financing, and I'd imagine know the days of an actual form, a credit application form. We can get rid of those errors. We can get rid of those mistakes and really just seamlessly plug that into the whole sales process so that everything is digital from the top to the bottom. And you get a leg up on your competition. Yes, it is 2021. There are a lot of companies out there that are running pen and paper, Excel spreadsheets, and I've even 3-ring binders for sales books and brochures. So really the entire process allows you to be more professional and simplifying things, making it a much easier and seamless platform. This just gives you a quick map view of our customers, where we are. We're spread all the way across the country, really in all sorts of different locations and geographic regions, with some pretty big key players in this industry. Like I had mentioned not too long ago, we have companies that have one office all the way up to about a dozen plus offices throughout the country. As we get in this, again, I had mentioned that we're going to do a pretty high level demo, which I always like to go through, but there are a few things inside of that I really want to highlight before we get into it. The first one is in the estimates itself. So Excel is great. Pricing sheets have been proven for the last 100 years when it comes to drawing up estimates. But how do we get pictures into that? How do we build value and show homeowners what is really going on inside of their house? One of the biggest things for selling, and I personally sold in home, was educating the homeowner. I think any good sales manager out there will be saying you that education to your customer is going to be one of the biggest advocates for you. The other one is GroupMe. You know, sales is a fun company, or a fun organization to be a part of, and a good team. So GroupMe is always fun because you can sell a deal and it pings to everybody's phone inside of your team. Really builds that camaraderie and even a little bit of competition. Tagging different photos. So yes, I can draw on pictures, I can edit them, but when it comes to contracts, when it comes to documentation, we really want to understand where certain elements belong, and being able to, while I'm standing in the house, make notes on that. You know, really show the homeowner where there's damage, where the value can be found from my service. Inside of the resources section, just a minute ago joked about 3-ring binders. Inside of Leap, we can remove that. We can put your brochures in there. We can include website links to YouTube pages, to some of the other platforms that are out there for presentation tools. If we do roofing, siding, a lot of the exterior, we know that there are aerial measurements. So Eagle View, Hover, Roof Scope are all really, really strong, great platforms that we fully integrate with. Everything can be done as a PDF. So we're taking a PDF type template and plugging in and auto-populating all the values from what the sales reps' inputs are. Utilizing technology, and again, we'll see this here in a couple of minutes, but we really want to make sure that we're not worrying about double data entry, really taking and utilizing technology to its fullest so that I don't need to plug in the same measurement 3 separate times. Those of you out there that are using paper, you understand that, right? A window, you need to write it on 3 different pages, the estimate, the contract, and the work order. Inside of Leap, we can do all of that automatically and seamless based on 1 set of values. And we can pull all that into CRMs. So outside of a strong finance lender, we do have several CRMs that we integrate with, and I'll touch a little bit on that in the demo itself. But you have access to those customer documents, whether it's through a partnered CRM, but also through our dashboard. So smaller companies who are on the fence about, you know, do I need a full CRM? You have access to all documentation. You know, our credit application, our contract, our hover report, all of those get compiled into our Leap dashboard, clean and quick for an office manager or somebody to access. Number 10 on this list, change discounts by user. That's always a fun one of mine. We all know that inside of this industry, you have good, better, and best sales reps. Some sales reps love to sell at floor. Some are really good at closing at retail. You can actually go in and cater per sales rep where those margins are. How much discount does one allow over the other? Or does one have an inflated floor versus your top sales rep? And real-time financing. So again, we're really going to touch on this, but we want to make it as easy as possible to secure financing in the house. We want there to be no excuse that you cannot close a deal there in the kitchen table, you know, with Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. So I'm going to switch gears here really quick. I'm going to pull my iPad up and we can get right into our demo. So according to my screen here, it looks like we are good to go with my iPad being pulled up. And like I had mentioned, we're going to run this as a fairly high level demo and leave a little bit of time here at the end for some question and answer.
Yeah, everything's looking good, Nick. We can see your screen.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks for that, Liz. So right off the bat, we're looking at my iPad. iPad is a very professional device, one that becomes very easy for a sales rep to carry into the house. You know, they can slide it right into their little portfolio book or whatever it is. We're using this as a tool because you now have control of it as a business owner. So I give out my credentials, I give out all of the information to my sales reps that they need. If you're using Excel, if you're using paper pricing sheets, one of the hardest things for you at this particular moment is version control. How do I update pricing? How do I know that my sales rep who was on vacation last week is running with current numbers? With inside of Leap, all we have to do is hit a refresh button, or the sales rep's away on vacation, it automatically logs them out so that they log back in with brand new pricing. No longer do we have a several week dip because we have a price increase. First place that we go to is our customer section. And inside of our customer, like I had mentioned a minute ago, is CRM integrations. So instead of working hard or making your sales reps do more work than they need to, I'm plugged into a half a dozen CRMs. And that gives me all of the customer information that comes over. It gives me access to any previous estimate. So if there's a beback, if I need to rehash a job, all of that now lives from just my customer screen here. If we don't have a CRM, like I had mentioned, that's fine. We can be an owner operator. I simply hit new and I can plug that customer information in. It becomes very important that we have accurate information here. We, again, do not want to do double data entry. I want to make sure that the information that is shown here is accurate because it's going to show up on my EnerBank application. It's going to populate itself into my contracts. So making sure that everything here is clean and it's concise is what we want. Once we're here, I'm going to hit done in the top right corner, and I'm off to the races. One of the top 11 points that I've touched on was what lives in my resources section. So one of the things that makes the Leap really unique is the fact that, yes, I have my resources section. This is replacing my 3-ring binder. So I can include before and after pictures. I can show the homeowners what to expect next and walk them through the entire buying process. I can also go through and say I have different brochures. Leap is product agnostic, so I don't care if you're doing roofing, siding, windows, bathrooms. That really, it does not matter into what you want to plug into this section. At the end of the day, you have external links as well. So I can click on YouTube, be redirected to our YouTube page for you to sit there and go into different videos. You can go to your website and show the homeowner exactly what it is that you're talking about. So really there's not a lot of limitations to what is possible inside of our resources section. Touching back into the estimates, we're going to look here at roofing. Roofing is a big one. Roofing is, one of the products that is really big inside of this industry. And there's a couple of ways that I can generate cost. I can use this as a flat measure sheet. What I mean by that is I have a hand wheel and I'm measuring my house and I'm scratching down as to what the measurements of this roof are going to be. If we want to be a little bit more new school in thought process, and I have, say, a hover report or a roof scope report, I can simply click on that logo and search for that address. I pull that address in, and what it's going to do, if I have the correct hover report in here, it's going to give me all of the measurements that I need. So you can see here, I have all the measurements. They're going to pre-fill into my measure sheet. For companies out there who maybe don't trust their sales reps to measure roofs, if you have a really good deal with one of these reporting tools, it becomes very easy and almost a no-brainer to just pull the report and have it come in. The other thing that I'd really like to highlight for those of us that sell roofing, I can run this totally virtual at this point. So what I mean by that is I can order an Eagle View report or send the homeowner a hover link for them to go and take all the pictures that they need, simply pull in and have the cost of what it will take to replace their roof. On top of all of the scenarios that we've just gone through, Leap has logic that can also be built in. So behind each one of these cells, you can put in a small formula. for example, shingles, right? We all can build a roof, but we all need waste factor to be included. I can have maybe this roofing is 21, 22 squares with a waste factor and rolled up to the nearest square. 29 is all that's going to show to the sales rep and most importantly to the homeowner. So I have all the measurements and I hit done. The size of the roof doesn't change, it's just the material that we put on there. So with the swipe of a finger, I can now go through a good, better, and best. I can go through a Supreme, a Duration, or a Berkshire shingle. It becomes very easy for me to put that measurement into different packages that just automatically pull from the price book. So again, your sales reps don't have to think about how much is this or generating 3 separate estimates, which is what I've just done here, just to come up to a price. When it comes to roofing, when it comes to windows, when it comes to really anything that is in that good, better, best model or gold, silver, bronze, however it is that you roll this out, I can show all of that to a homeowner very quickly and very easily. So I can build out a proposal where all that sales rep needs to do is flip on 3 different switches and show that to a homeowner. This becomes very customized to each one of your businesses. So it'll be your logo, it'll be your color scheme, it'll be your fonts, it'll be anything that you want to generate and populate onto this document. One of the other things that a lot of companies that operate and use LeapSell are windows. So if I click into Windows, you're going to notice it's a very different look and feel. This is what I call drill down. So on the left-hand side here are the different types of windows. A lot of companies, if they do interior, they could say these are different bathroom packages or kitchen packages that they can go through. The reason I call this our drill down view is I can now say, all right, if I switch to the different type of window that I'm going to replace, the United Inch brackets on the right-hand side change. This is all dependent on the price book itself. So I'm going to go back up to double hung. They're one of the most common types of windows. Now on the right-hand side, I have different options. Again, you build this out. This becomes your platform as to how you're selling today. Do you have 2 different buckets they can choose from? Do you have 100 different United Inch brackets that they can sell out of? All I need to do as a sales rep is I'm going to say, great, I take my measurement, height, width, and it falls underneath of 101 United Inches. What becomes a big value to businesses is control, right? We don't want to micromanage sales reps or any of that, but we do want to have input as to what they're actually doing in the house. How do we do that? You can notice that this has a big red box that lives around my double hung windows at the bottom. This means there is required information that I must fill out before I can move forward. So if I click into that box, I need to know how many of these windows we're going to do. Where are these windows going? Which room? How big are they? Pieces that I must fill out before I even get to what it cost is. So these need to fill into the dining room. Again, I take my tape measure and we're going to say, we fill them into a specific bucket. The other important thing at this point is I can hit pictures. So we talked about this not too long ago, but what happens if we have wood rot in one of the windows and it's something that I need to show? I'm standing at the house, I take several pictures of this, and I can now go in, literally click on this picture, put a straight line to it, and say, I have wood rot along the bottom sill of this window. I can now even type in to say that we have wood rot, make that nice and big for my production crew to see, for my homeowners to see, because we want to build this value and say, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, this looks terrible. This is not good. This is going to erode your brick out. We need to really go through and make sure that we're properly documenting everything that we come across while we're at the house. And I hit done. Hit done again because I have all the required information that is needed of me. At this point, I have 5 very standard windows. If I need upcharges, so for those of us that sell windows, for those of us who have an upgraded version of something or an add-on of something, a grab bar if we're talking about a bathroom, or a different shower rod, I have a dark green arrow on the right-hand side that I can click into. So if I click into that, it's going to give me all of the specific upcharges. So I can say I need these 5 windows to be beige, and I need them to have a 6x6 grid pattern. Think of each one of these switches as either a dollar amount or as a percentage of cost. Again, you can set this up however you want, but as I flip this switch, it's now taking 5 windows at the book price and now adding 5 of the beige upcharges and 5 of my colonial grid upcharges. So for a little bit of fun, we're going to add in a picture window or 2. I'm going to take my pictures. There we go. We'll just say that that's what we need, and I hit done, and I hit done again. Very similar to roofing, I can package these out. It can be the different series of windows. It can be a different manufacturer. It can be with or without a warranty. The options are endless for you. But what I really do like to talk about are guardrailing this project. And you can see in my 1000 series, I have this little red triangle. And what that is telling me is this specific window option, I can't sell in beige. Maybe I can't get it from the manufacturer. Maybe it is a different market that it's sold in. Whatever the scenario is, there's not a price for beige. But that shouldn't limit my options of selling to the homeowner. So I can do what's called a custom scenario. So if I hit custom, I can say I need my double hungs to be at least a 2000 series, and my picture window can be a 1000 series. So when I hit done, there's no more error, and I have a specific price based on what the scenario that I just chose. How do we start looking then at financing? How do we start leveraging and pulling financing in so that it's easy for the sales rep and so that your homeowners don't get lost in all of the different terms and rates and things like that? One of the easiest ways that we can do that is build it into a proposal and show them, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, this is what it's going to cost you. Very similar to my proposal earlier, I can run a page that's a full page breakdown. So when I hit next, here we go. I have our scope of work. I have our different dollars and discounts. But now let's talk about our payment options. So you can see I have maybe a 12-month, no payment, no interest, or whatever the scenario might be. But I get to lay that out to the homeowners right here at the swipe of a page. Again, keep in mind, this is going to be your logo, your watermark, your font colors. All of this is going to be branded more so for you than it is for me at Leap. But I can now start really walking through what does that monthly need to be so that we can get you provided with the right plan through EnerBank. If we're going to now look at financing, and I know that the homeowner has agreed to $350 per month. They can afford that, it fits their budget. We've walked out all of those different closes. I'm now going to go into my finance option at the bottom. And as a sales rep, I can run this. This is a very simple calculator. All right, I know that our retail on this project is $25,000. I know that the homeowners are going to scratch me a check for $7,500. So now I need to finance the remainder. You have different options here. These can be, as you see here, deferred interest, low monthly payments, no interest, however you want to bucket these out. So all your sales rep needs to do is click on one of those options. Leaf is now going to give you what those plans are on the left-hand side. So that's your term, that's your plan number, all of those pieces of information that are relevant to this finance plan. On the right-hand side, you now get to see the number in black, which is the homeowner's month to month. What Leap is doing actually behind the scenes for you as a business owner is calculating what those dealer fees are specific to the calculations and the input that the sales reps have put in. So I can flip a switch for you really quick, and we can see, based on the rate sheet, what those dealer fees would be. The reason this is important is now I can now add this to maybe my floor cost, or I know that when it comes to moving this into my office and paying commissions, well, what does that dealer fee actually cost us? How do we rechange or rescope what our commissions might be? How much money do we actually make on this job? So I'll go through. I'm just going to pick this plan right here. You can see $300 for the homeowner month to month. And we've now incurred that dealer fee into our floor cost. So I have that, it's accounted for. My homeowners are now $300 a month, and I have the plan information that we need. Moving forward at this point, I can click into my credit application section. We're going to click on my EnerBank logo, and we're going to fill this out. So I can go through, fill all the information to the homeowner. I can scan a driver's license, which is what this little scan button is. I can now go through and make sure that I have all of the relevant information that I need for this credit app so that I can upload and submit it. I upload, I submit it, we're directly integrated with EnerBank. So in that 30 to 60 seconds, I know whether we've been approved or denied, or if there's any special changes that must happen inside of this. At the bottom, you can see application pipeline. So if I've been approved, if I've been denied, I can click in that section. We can now sign the loan documents without ever having to leave Leap. I have everything is going to live right here. Everything is going to be done for me in a very clean and matter-of-fact way, so that really at the end of the day, your sales reps don't have to think that much. As we come back more to this main screen, there are a couple other sections that I really like to touch on. For those businesses that are more, I would call them marketing driven, I have what's a survey section. This survey section, you can really name it whatever it is that you want. But I have this in my world as an assessment survey. So again, marketing driven, I want to know, how did they hear about us? Are there any discounts that we have that are available to us? At the end of the day, this is going to make sure that we've captured all that information, and that not only do we have that information, but I can now keep this stored on my Leap dashboard. So if we're canvassing that area, the neighborhood next, I can pull this in and say, look, we're looking at this, and this. The houses are typically 20 years old, 25 years old. Now I can drive my marketing to those specific neighborhoods for roof replacements or roof repairs. Really, any and all information that you can have your sales reps capture in the home is going to be invaluable moving forward. The other thing that I talked about at the top of this call was more of a work order. So measurements go into the estimate. We have to then type them into a contract. We then have to type them into a work order or some sort of a production form. With Leap, that's not the case anymore. I just simply click on the document that I want, and I hit next. And now you can see that all of my measurements for my roofing section, my windows, have automatically pulled in so that I have a clean PDF specific for my install crew or the subcontractors that we're going to use. So now I can just start sending this out to all the specific parties. Moving back into this, we're going to look at one final section for those of us that do a little bit more of the interior, bathrooms, kitchens, the companies that really like to be a la carte with how these homeowners buy, and they're maybe not enjoying the packages so much. So if I click onto my bathroom section here, you can see that I have each individual item lined out for me. So if I want to replace the plumbing fixture, I can now look at what are the plumbing fixtures that are available to me as a sales rep. Is it going to be a tub and shower? Is it just a shower head? Is it a vanity sink faucet? All of these are now going to just keep funneling me down so that I have the type or the manufacturer, I have the color or the style, I have even down to the thumbnail that I can now pull into a contract. So I hit add, sales rep needs to hit just one. I can now bring this to the very top again, and I click on bathrooms. I can say I need a seat, or I need to replace the countertop. So now we can look at the countertop. We can look at what material are we going to do. Outside of what material, we can maybe look at what color scheme do we want to do, or is it going to be a top tier, middle, or bottom? All of these are available to you, and really the possibilities become endless on how you want to roll this in. I hit done, and again, we have a cost. If we look at contracts, so LEAP, yes, we've talked about estimating. We can get to a dollars and figure out what cost is going to be and how we protect your margins. But when we come to the documents themselves, each document has its own verbiage, its own scope of work. Each one is very particular to what it is that you're selling. So if I want, I'm going to click on roofing and I'm going to do windows, which are the two big trades that we've put in here. I can also go through and say, I need my payment page. Is this going to be an insurance report? Is it not going to be insurance? Do I need a notice of cancellation? What about a terms and conditions form? These can be separated, they can be condensed. Again, it's really up to how you want to build your platform. If you do strictly insurance, and you're looking at EnerBank for some of the ability to upsell projects, we can still build out insurance very, very easily right into LEAP. So you have your contingencies. The other scenario that we run into is addendum forms. So you can now have an addendum be built in for any change orders, whatever the scenario is, can all get done right here into your contract section. And I hit next. Sticking with that theme of red that we had talked about earlier, this is just information that I must fill out as a sales rep to get to ultimately signing this agreement. So maybe we can look at roofing and say, what is our tear off? We can look and say, what is the new shingle style that we're going to put on here? We can list it by manufacturer. If we're not doing roofing, it can be, outdoor pavers. Doesn't really matter. I can now go through and select that style, and you're going to notice that only the specific colors for that style can pull themselves in. So if I change this style altogether, my color disappears, and I can go through and pick out that new color. This becomes very valuable for folks who are selling in different markets. So if I have 2, maybe 3 different offices, and I know that one is a freight train, a freight charge for a specific color, I just don't offer that color there because I know that it's going to cost me more. If I want to offer that color, back in the estimate section, I can put that you need to put your color in, and there's going to be an upcharge for that specific color. Again, just protecting your dollars and making sure that you as a business are as efficient as possible, and making sure that your sales reps are understanding what they can and cannot do. As we move through, I have my Eagle View pictures. Again, if you're using one of our aerial measurements, Eagle View, Hover, or Roof Scope, they will pull into here automatically. If I want, I can do a roof sketch. So very similar to drawing onto the windows in the estimate, I can go through and do something very similar. So if I have damage on a section of the roof, I can now go through and pull in all of those pictures. And I can also start drawing on them. So I can go in and say that we have little bits of damage here. Anything under here that needs to get replaced, we're looking at the window. Or again, educating the homeowner on what the project is going to be and taking that time to make sure that the homeowner understands just as much so as what the sales rep and what your install crew is going to do. The other thing that becomes very important with documenting and drawing on pictures is, was there damage before I showed up, right? I was talking to a painting company and they talk about recognizing and documenting overspray from a previous job. All of these things at the end of the day might cost you money because you're just going to replace it anyways. You don't want that bad Google review. But if I can look at this documentation, I can have that recorded and I can put notes to it. This becomes much easier for me to show the homeowner and say, look, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, this was right here from when we were at your house the first time and it was documented. If I click into Windows, all of the information that I filled out originally has pulled itself over. Sizes, styles, patterns. Anything that I have missed but is required at the contract level at this point, you can see is going to turn red. So now I have to click into this window specific and put in what that size is and what room is it going to be in. Really, we're not here to allow for contract errors. We're not going to make it so that your sales reps can just breeze right through, because for those of us that are using paper contracts today, I'd be willing to bet, and I don't need that much honesty, how many times, even a week, you have a contract error where you have to send that rep back to the house for an extra initial because they forgot to select the color of the shingles and we have to call them back. All of that is now totally negated because of we're making this a required field. This becomes my favorite page, which is the payment page. Because to me, coming from in-home sales, this is where I knew I was going to get my commission, I was going to get paid. I can fill out my total contract amount. So I think we ran this as a $25,000 job. Homeowners were going to give me that $7,500. Up in this top box, we can look at, how do I want to take that deposit? Is it cash? Is it check? Is it a credit card? I always really like saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, let's pull that credit card out. Let's get you those airline miles. With Leap, we can actually go ahead and capture that credit card information so that your office staff can charge that in the back end. So what that looks like is I can go in and I can fill out just briefly this credit card number. At the top, you can see I can run a bank account. So I can do this for routing an account number, or I can do what's called capture later. So we talked about being fully remote. This is that next level of that, where I can go and say, great, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, while we're here, while I have you, I'm going to forward over a page for you to put in your credit card information so that way we can keep on moving forward. Everything that we look at and everything that we do here is PCI compliant, so it is the top level of security when it comes to protecting a homeowner's credit card information. You'll notice that it's going to tokenize it, so only the last 4 digits of any of the information that we put in is available. Really, that's just protecting you so that if a sales rep is, it's a Friday afternoon and they're about to put in their notice, they're not writing down that credit card information on a slip of paper and buying themselves a flat screen later that day. Because even if they do that, that charge is still on you as a business. Because I've selected my finance plan already, that information shows up. It's already going to live there. I don't have to worry about it as a sales rep because we've just added that to the estimate. We made sure that we're not missing anything and that everything has been accounted for up to this point. I have everything filled out and I hit next inside of my agreement. This is now going to produce that PDF form. When we look at this, I can now swipe the page just like an ebook would be, making sure that we have all the pieces of information required, making sure that I'm not missing anything and keeping myself honest as a sales rep, but also being transparent enough with the homeowner saying, this is your notice of cancellation. These are all of our terms and conditions. What we can now do is I can hit sign in the top right corner. At this point, my signature box comes up and I go through my signatures right here on the iPad. If we want to look at this as doing this remotely, we're also integrated with partner DocuSign. You can hook up a Business Pro account, and we can send all of these through DocuSign as well. Again, I can sell you a roof from a totally different state if I need to. Signing right here, right onto the iPad, making sure that I have everything acknowledged, I'm not missing anything. If at this point a sales rep says, yep, we're all done, thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, and they go ahead and try to send it, there's going to be an error because we need initials. We need to make sure that if we rip up your roof and we need a whole bunch of extra plywood, that cost is going to be covered and we're going to charge this credit card on file. We really need to go ahead and make sure that we have all of these little incidental charges and all of these acknowledgments taken care of. Now that I have my initials, I have my signatures, I'm going to hit send in the top corner. This is going to give me a list of brochures or really any documentation that I want to attach with this contract. So I can go through and say, all right, we're going to do the resistance shingles. We're going to go through and, what is expected next. I add these as clickable links to this email because when I hit send, I'm going to verify that homeowner's email address. Literally show it to them right on the iPad. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, is this the accurate email address that you're going to receive a copy of this? Sure is. As I send this to the homeowners, you get to design what the HTML template of that email is. So do you want to embed a short video as to thank you for taking the time today? Whatever it is that you have or want to have inside of that email, we can plug in, making sure that it's branded for you specifically and it covers everything that you want for that handoff from sales into now your production side of things. So I'm going to hit send here, and I'm going to understand that this agreement goes to several locations. A, it's going to go to the email address that we're looking at here. B, it's going to BCC any email that I need it to go to. So sales rep can get it, owners can get it, my production manager, sales manager, whoever. It will live in the dashboard of Leap, and it's also going to update, assuming I started this in a CRM that we're integrated with, it's going to automatically push back into and update that CRM. So at this point, we've sold a job. We've picked up and secured financing for this job. I have my work order has now been filled out, completed, ready to go. There's one last step that I must do as a sales rep when I'm in the field, and that's disposition this lead. Educating the office as to what happened at the home. What is it like? What is the next steps? What is it that we promised for these homeowners? The way I do that is I hit results in the bottom right-hand corner. A couple of these instances, for this one particular, we are integrated with one of our CRMs. So when I hit lead result, it's going to automatically update that CRM and this appointment as no interest. And they canceled the lead. I can go through my last price offered, and I can do any test notes that I need to as well. What I just did was I created one of the best ways for me to rehash this deal. Because I have A, it's saved, and B, moved over to my uploads. It's created a PDF on the entire project that I've just priced out. So now, if I want my sales reps to have availability to this, they can. If I want this to go to a rehash department, it can certainly get emailed to them automatically. So they can now look at this and say, great, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we're going to offer you an additional 10% off, anything that we can do to earn your business. One last thing that I do like to touch on outside of this, if we were running virtual, and I'm just really circling back on this, is something to highlight. We can send credit application. So if I go back into my default credit application, so this is one that I can send securely via Leap. The importance of this, when I send this, type in who it's going to go to. I can now type in that this is for EnerBank plan 1234 and send it. The homeowner is going to get an email. When that homeowner gets that email, they fill out this credit information. I'm going to take that information that they had filled out remotely, and it's going to fill in everything that I needed to in my EnerBank credit app for me to securely get them picked up for financing, again, from anywhere that I want to work remotely. So there's no difference between standing in front of the homeowner or being 1,000 miles away from them. You can still close the deal. You can still get everything done that you need to right here from an iPad. A couple of instances of companies that spun up an inside sales team last 2 quarters of 2020 generated over $1 million in sales, all by working virtual. So at this point, there's really a lot inside of Leap that we could go into, that we could really dive a little bit further into. But at this point, we're really good to go. So Liz, I'm gonna punt this over. I don't know if we have any questions that we can wrap up here and answer to end this out.
We did have a few questions come in. I'll pull those up real quick. And thank you, Nick. That was nice and thorough, some great examples there. All right, so first question, how much does Leap cost? How much does it cost to use Leap, and how long can I try it out for?
So great question. Leap is the way that we price Leaping out is it's a subscription based. So it is an annual contract that is billed monthly. There's a lot of variables inside of what that pricing is. But for where we're at and the different packages that we have, it's going to be $99 per license per month is our starting point. As far as a demo is concerned and getting your hands on it, why I highly encourage you, instead of going that route, generate questions, book a demo, and be very specific with that rep that you're talking about so that they can walk you through it. I don't necessarily have a great instance to hand out to folks, simply because it's your platform. It's one that you build from the ground up. So yes, you could look at this and you can mess around with mine, but it's not going to be yours specific. So generate that list of questions, get with one of our sales reps on our teams, and I'm sure Liz could send you an email or give you an email here shortly as to where you can contact one of us.
Yeah, because we do have a bit of an onboarding process when we do have somebody come on board to get everything set up, to their specifications. Can you talk a little bit on that?
Sure. Yeah. So again, this is really your blank slate that we can build off of. Through the onboarding that Liz had just mentioned is one-on-one. So it's not going to be a group setting. It's going to be your company and one of our customer relations care team members. They're going to be your primary point of contact. And what they're going to cover is, how do we get pricing in? How do we get our documentation in and built the way that we want them to? How is it that we can really tie into our CRM, make sure that our financing integration works? So you will have that hand to hold throughout the entire process. And one of the things that we really like about onboarding is you're not handcuffed to us as a company. We're enabling you and teaching you all the skills so that you can go and really build this out and make changes at any point, right? I can't tell you the last time I heard that there wasn't a price change every 6 months. So teaching you and giving you the skills to update those prices whenever you need to is really what we're here for. Moving forward, you'll have that support. So just because your onboarding has gone out and you're done with your onboarding, that doesn't mean you've gotten rid of Leap. We're still here for, chat function, email, phone calls. We're here for you forever.
Very cool. All right, Chris from Dallas would like to know, can I use Leap for flooring?
Sure can. So inside of flooring, one of the things, again, that I'm just going to circle back to a minute ago is getting with a specific sales rep. So my demo today was very broad. We do have some flooring instances that we can really show you and walk you through what that bigger picture would look like. How do you do pricing? Is it square feet? Is it linear feet? All of those scenarios and those examples we can show you inside the platform on a one-on-one demo.
Cool. Alrighty, next question. does Leap set up my proposals and or contracts? They're probably referring to like our template functionality.
Yep.
If you could specify your question, go ahead and shoot us another note. But Nick.
Yeah, so I'll give us the 30,000 foot view on that. We have templates. So anything that you saw in the demo is one of our templates. We have probably 50 proposals and contract templates outside of that. Leap is a very easy to navigate and understand documentation tool. So part of that onboarding that we just spoke about is how do you go in, how do you create, and how do you change those around. We also have professional services. So if there's a document that, I just need this in because I want it and I want it tomorrow. Tomorrow is a little bit of an extreme example, but, I need this done at the quickest turnaround. We can always go the route of our professional services team, which is really just a pay as you go or pay per document type of a setup. And Leap does it all for you.
All right, and we have one last question from Christine. Does the app work on my phone? Good question.
That is a great question. And Christine, I can tell you today, it does, but you cannot get into documentation. However, I'm going to give us a little bit of spoiler here on the EnerBank exclusive. Tomorrow, a lot of people are going to be getting an email that the end of this month and or the first week of May, we are releasing Leap 2.0. Once we have a full release of Leap 2.0, you will have every capability that you saw on the iPad today available to you on your iPhone. It's not out yet, but you will be seeing that here very, very shortly. I know Liz and the marketing team have been working very diligently on rolling that out and getting everybody very excited. So in the next 4 to 6 weeks, that will definitely be a reality that you can use your iPhone to accomplish everything that we saw on the iPad.
Oh, and it's not us doing the hard work. I know our developers, they've been working on it, plugging away for quite a while, taking all that, feedback from our current customers and, those wish list items and kind of integrating all those new features and stuff. So yeah, it is pretty exciting. Check out the new Leap 2.0. Oh, we got one last question. Kim would like to know, is Leap available to integrate with QuickBooks for payments, etc.?
So that's a much more complex question. We have the payment capture. Where QuickBooks comes in is we would use QuickBooks Online as that payment gateway. So we would be able to plug in QuickBooks Online as that payment gateway to process payment inside of Leap to then get pushed over to QuickBooks Online.
Awesome. All right, well, I know we have a few more minutes, but that about wraps up the questions we had from the audience. So I will say, thank you so much to everyone who was able to join us today. Please let us know if you would like to hear more about Leap. You should see a poll in front of you here in a moment. Like Nick mentioned, if you want to go ahead and let us know if you want to get some more information, have one of our members set up a demo with you, we'd be happy to do that. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today.
Very welcome. Thank you, everybody, for hopping on and spending some of your Wednesday with us.
Awesome. All righty. Well, thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.